it because we have done a complete reconnaissance, damage assessment of what post the strikes. That the Indian Air Force must have definitely done. This is the background. Now, on this background, if the DJMO comes, yesterday, this is where I was talking about establishing strategic clarity. Now, what is the clarity that came in today? Indian government today, for the first time in its entire history, has said any act of terror will constitute an act of war.
Yes.
This is very important because tomorrow, if another terrorist dares come in, I don't need to give him proof. As per my constitution or policy or doctrine, it is war. And war means I can kiss you with my missiles anytime I want. I don't need to give any explanation to anybody. You come in with one gun, that's good enough for me. Or it is up to my mind. If I wake up with a good mind, I may pardon you, but maybe I may send 10 missiles. See, we have tasted blood now. Please understand the escalation later. I will talk from 2016 onwards. You did surgical strike first.
Correct.
Second time you did Balakot. See, I was in the ops room when the Balakot happened. Our air defense was not as good. If you remember the MH17 fratricide that happened, some 11 people got killed. We were all over the place. In fact, I was extremely critical that day, upset that day. How could we let this happen? But having said that, I'm telling you, Indian Air Force has grown leaps and bounds. Yesterday, I was so happy, 100%. Even the Israelis were shocked. This is textbook stuff that we have shown. Nowhere in the history of the planet or in any warfare, this kind of a thing has been witnessed, because 400, 500 drones coming, missiles coming, everything getting neutralized, right? But having done this, can we take our chances? Please understand, we're dealing with a nuclear state.
Yeah.
I don't want to give great leverage, but this is where my strategic clarity with restraint. So what I was talking yesterday was that, we must act decisively, we must act ruthlessly, and we must act silently. Posturing is okay. See, one more good thing the MEA did is, we have never claimed most of our attack.
Right.
We must have, I am telling you, we've done 10 times more damage than what we have claimed. Pakistan, on the other hand, have done nothing and have claimed 100 times more.
Correct.
Or 1,000 times more. Now, the biggest thing from here is, Asif Munir's curtains, I know the reverse count has started, because he can lie to the whole world, Pakistan can lie to the whole world, but what will he tell his own officers? They know. Can they continue to serve under a person who believes in lies and rhetorics? They know their days are gone. So which means Asif Munir in next 15 days or 1 month or 2 months or maybe his extension that they have given will not come through. And this also means that the next army general that is going to come in Pakistan will not have the same respect, same command and same power. And Imran Khan may well get out of the jail, which also means there could be elections, fresh elections in Pakistan, which is what the people want. This puppet government will go. So this all augurs well, which means in this pause button, when Modi goes to the discussion table, this is what I've been talking about. He needs three things. Dismantling of the terror network, number one, and taking responsibility for the terror strikes right from 2016 onwards, if not before. Handing over of the proscribed terrorists like Maulana Masood Azhar. They can't keep the bogey of telling them they don't live here. We know where they live. Right? So now it is very difficult for Pakistan to accept these demands.
Correct.
This is where the Indus Water Treaty comes in. Tap on, tap off. He will, kill them thirsty. Where will Pakistan go? They need to come to the table, speak to Modi. Trump in his enthusiasm has said whatever it is. It is not American pressure. Right? India has been, even with the weak Congress governments, we have never accepted a third party to come in. And Modi will definitely not agree to it.
Right. So it's not about Modi, definitely. It's the Pakistani playbook. The Pakistani playbook is to internationalize so that allows them to hyphenate themselves with Bharat. Bharat's attempt is to hyphenate Pakistan with a terror state. So Terroristan is the aspect. Now, you called him Hafiz Munir. The inside story is that he loves his tipple. So he's actually nicknamed Chachu Whiskey internally within the army. So he's Mullah Whiskey if you're to go by what we are saying. So that's the reason why. So he's not as pious as he makes himself out to be. and he cannot do without his whiskey. That's the story within the Pak army, and I'm hearing it from the horse's mouth. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So that's why this person is his coinage is now Mullah whiskey. But that aside, but what the Pak general does, what happens to him, is their issue. What we do about it is what's critical. There's an attempt to internationalize. There is someone who's wanting to take credit, and Bharat is very clearly saying, you talk to us, we decide what we do, and if we think it's an act of war, it's a terror act, and it's an act of war. Professor Brahmachalani, where do we go from here? On the 12th of May, who should set the terms and conditions? Because we know exactly what the Pakis, how the Pakis will play this.
First, let's be clear, Anand, on what has happened. India has a long tradition of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. 1948, Tashkent Agreement, Haji Pir being returned. Similar, the gains of war being squandered at the negotiating table. Operation Sindoor, mark my words, will go in history as part of this tradition. Let's not mince words on this. Operation Sindoor was supposed to be taken to its logical conclusion. Operation Sindoor has been ended inconclusively. And why are we quibbling over things like, for example, a halt to hostilities? We are objecting to the word ceasefire. If halt to hostilities is not ceasefire, what else is ceasefire? A ceasefire by definition is a temporary halt to hostilities. And why are we quibbling over the US role? We are saying that it was entirely bilateral. Is that the argument? Foreign Secretary Misri said at his briefing that Pakistan's GMO called his Indian counterpart at 15:35 hours. 15:35 hours. Who was pressing Pakistan's military? Who was calling General Munir? Who? Why don't we discuss all that?
No, but how should that matter to us? How should that matter to us? We did not ask anybody to call General Munir. Bharat's position is Bharat did not ask anybody.
Of course not. I'm sorry, Anand.
Please.
I'm sorry, Anand. Let's not whitewash America's role in this. We agreed to the US role. That's the reason why the US was playing a role. That's the reason why Rubio called General Munir. That's the reason why Pakistan's DGMO called his Indian counterpart only at 15:35 hours. That's the reason why the work had already been done.
But Professor Brahmachalani, that's an assumption you are making, and you are welcome to make that. Did
Bharat?
Bharat?
I'm giving you the timeline.
Nobody's. What I'm saying is nobody asked J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio to pick up the phone and call the Pakistanis. India has not asked. Marco Rubio said, "I picked up the phone and I called them." J.D. Vance said, "We picked up the phone and called both sides." But what is Bharat's position? Bharat's position is, if Pakistan wants to talk, you talk directly to us. Whoever is asking you to talk, that's your headache. But we as a nation will talk to you directly and you talk to us directly. We don't want a third party. That's Bharat's position.
I don't agree with that.
Ji.
I don't agree with that because India has been in touch with Washington. India was willing to let the US play the role of an honest broker. That's why the US tried to play the role that India had agreed to. That's the reason why by the time the Pakistani DGMO called, the groundwork had been laid.
Respectfully, sir, in the past, I request Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, you agree with Professor Brahmachalani here? Do you think Bharat is the one who's told America to play broker here?
I didn't say that India asked the US. No, the US offered its services.
Now, Anand, you are acting like USA between Professor Chalani and me. So
I am not going to act as anybody. I'm just here saying that there is a nation which is trying to claim credit, and Bharat strategically is saying, no, we are not giving credit to anybody this time around because we want you to talk to us. Yes, sir, please, your point. Yeah.
No, Anand, I don't want to contradict Professor Chalani. I have respect for his views. He is making an assumption on the basis of his experience and on the basis of what is in public domain. I don't want to comment on that because I don't want to speculate at this time because there's not enough material at my command in order to give any definitive judgment. But I will again point to what the Foreign Secretary and later EAM have stressed.
Yeah.
And the main burden of their coming and Foreign Secretary addressing the press and EAM coming to the social media was that please don't be hasty in giving credit to someone else. Pakistani DGMO, for whatever reasons, picked up the phone and requested our DGMO to please agree to stopping fire. That's the understanding I have. On 12th of May, the DGMOs are not going to work out an agreement.
Yeah.
DGMOs are just going to assess whether either side has resumed fire or violated the gentleman's understanding or agreement. The main issue, the elephant in the room is what happens then. Do we then get terrorists in our hands? Does Pakistan sort of not just pledge but take concrete action in ensuring that the entire terror network has been demolished, never to be revived again? Will Pakistan insist that Indus Water Treaty be again resumed in the same form as it was before 22nd April? These are big questions.
Yeah.
And India and Pakistan have always faltered on these big questions, as I had pointed out starting from 1965 onwards, and Professor Chalani took it back to 1948 very rightly. So the history of India-Pakistan agreement, and let me just add for your viewers information, there's not even a single agreement between India and Pakistan which favors India where Pakistan has stood by that agreement. India has always stood by the agreements it entered into. So the history of trust is not very favorable to Pakistan's
Correct.
record.
So then,
that is why I'm a little skeptical.
Yes, Professor Chalani, please complete. I don't want to be someone who's not allowed you your thoughts. Please go ahead. We may disagree, but I have huge amount of respect for you. Please go ahead. Please complete.
No, Anand, the current military situation, this conflict became a test of rival political wills. A test of rival political wills. Over the decades, Pakistan has sought to make up for the power asymmetry with India through stronger political will. It has looked at India as a country with a weaker political will. That's the reason why Operation Sindoor became very important, because India, after almost 4 decades, decided that its patience had worn out and it needed to do something. So it became an important test of rival political wills. How will history look at Operation Sindoor? What clear objectives did we achieve from this operation, even though militarily we had the upper hand? The 3 days of conflict showed that Pakistan's air defenses are weaker compared to India's. They were hitting us with a large number of drones and missiles. We, in response, were sending far fewer drones and missiles, and yet we were hitting the targets much better, more accurately. So clearly, we had the military momentum. And then we took a political decision to suspend this operation. It's more than suspension, it's termination of this operation, frankly, Anand. And history will not look at India's decision too kindly.
Right. General Pandey, we've got to take a break, but quickly your thoughts and also Tilak Devasharji, and then...
when this April, I just very quickly want to rewind for everybody to just think back. When April 22nd happened,
Ji.
our intention at that point of time, if we had not declared war kind of an environment or focus, was possibly to have got those terrorists and killed, right? The Prime Minister goes out and makes a statement that all the perpetrators will be brought to book. Now, the list of perpetrators can start from those 4 terrorists till the military-industrial complex or the deep state of US, right? You can range the spectrum anywhere. So let's keep it focused to 4 terrorists. Now, we have possibly gone beyond and we have hit the terror headquarters, infrastructure, killed. I don't want to give a number, whatever numbers are. But even the hitting of the targets is a major, major shift in this thing, right? Did we declare a war at that time? No, I don't think so. No right-minded person will start thinking of going to war on this subject. I'm unfortunately, look, I'm a military guy who's been into real operation. I have seen blood and gore very, very clearly in my life. But the fact remains, I'm still talking of this thing. We have gone and done that. And after we doing that, there is always a reason to look into our civilizational and cultural moorings. You know, it's very important. We achieved that and we said, okay, this is enough. And sweetheart, we are letting you go. Don't come back, right? Rest the case. But as psychic they are, they wind it up, they leveled up to the next layer. And again, you know, more is less and less is more is my belief. You may throw 500 drones at me, but if I can do my job with 10, let me do with 10. Right?
Okay.
It is the quality over quantity which matters.
Right.
So while all this is happening, I think let's start believing one thing, that in the current context, what we have achieved quite good. And we should not start looking at that we have not achieved enough, because frankly, in spite of breaking all their agreements, right, where are we as a nation? And where is this country today as a nation? And I'll leave by one caution for everybody, that please stay aware, awake, and alert, because this scourge of terrorism has not been sorted out by the Europeans, by the biggest powers, by the so-called island nation called surrounded by 2 huge lakes. Americans, they have got hit. But the fact is that this will happen to us. We need to find solutions which are long-term, even when we fracture. But we need to fracture this country, which was, if that should be our end state, and how we do should start getting planned today onwards.
Right. I think those plans are on, but that's a long-term plan. That's not a near-term or a mid-term plan. And so we focus on the near and mid-term right now. The long-term objective, no, I don't think any of our viewers or anybody on the panel disagrees with you, General Pandey. So thank you for your candor. But Tilak Devasharji, quick word, sir. I've got to take a break, but I'd like to hear your thoughts, and then we'll come back and then take this forward. Ji.
First, I would like to get more details. Possibly on Monday after the two DGMOs meet, what exactly are the contours of the agreement? Point number one. Point number two, have we achieved our objectives? And does that agreement that is agreed to on Monday, does that fulfill our objectives to degrading Pakistan's terror infrastructure to the extent that 2 years or 3 years down the road, we are not having the same conversation? And more innocent Indians have died. Does that meet the expectations? Or are we keeping something in reserve? We continue with the Indus Water Treaty as holding it in abeyance, as the whip to beat Pakistan with, should they repeat something? So I think right now I feel I am not in a position. I feel it is still premature to pronounce judgment.
Right.
But certainly, or after Monday, when we have more clarity, it will be easier to come to some sort of a definite conclusion.
Right. We take the conversation forward. Should Bharat have, agreed to this ceasefire or stoppage of fire? Let's use that term, stoppage of fire, till the MEA officially changes that to a ceasefire, or the MOD changes that. So stoppage of fire till till 12th of May, when the DGMOs meet. Where are they meeting? Who is deciding the time and place? Has the US jumped the gun in trying to claim mediator? Bharat's position is Pakistan has to talk to us, we talk to Pakistan, this is bilateral. Now, what does this imply? What are the contours and what should Bharat put to the table? When the DGMO walks up there to meet his counterpart, the Pakistani counterpart, what is the position that from where Bharat is going to speak? And will Bharat make perhaps public knowledge the impact, the level of damage that's been inflicted on the Pakistanis? And if this can be done within 3 days, what does that prove to the world? We'll talk about all that and more with our guests after a very short break. Viewers, please stay with us.
Yes, boy!
I welcome you to this press briefing on Operation Sindoor and related developments. We have with us Commodore Ravi Nair, Colonel Sophia Qureshi, and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh to brief you. With that, I hand over the floor to Commodore Nair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the Foreign Secretary had said, you're aware there's an understanding that has been reached to stop all military activities at sea, on the air and on the land. And the Indian Navy, Indian Army and the Indian Air Force have been instructed to adhere to this understanding. Since the tragic events at Pahalgam, you're aware that our responses have been measured and very responsible. Details of these have been shared with you over the past few days through our various press briefings. What has also happened is that there is a significant amount of misinformation that is being undertaken from the other side. And as a professional military organization, we thought it is also our duty to dispel those misinformation aspects, as also state the facts of the case as they stand. Towards that, I will now hand over to my colleague, Colonel Qureshi.
नमस्कार। अब मैं आपको पाकिस्तान की मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कैंपेन के बारे में अवगत कराऊंगी। पहला, पाकिस्तान ने यह क्लेम किया कि उसने अपने JF-17 से हमारे S-400 व ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल बेस को नुकसान पहुंचाया, जो कि बिल्कुल गलत है। दूसरा, उसका यह भी मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कैंपेन था कि हमारी एयरफील्ड, जो कि सिरसा, जम्मू, पठानकोट, बठिंडा, नलिया और भुज में है, ये उसका मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन भी बहुत गलत है। तीसरा, पाकिस्तान के मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कैंपेन के मुताबिक हमारे एम्यूनिशन डम्प्स जो चंडीगढ़ और बियास में है, उसका डैमेज हुआ, यह भी बिल्कुल गलत है। हमने आपको मॉर्निंग ब्रीफिंग में बताया था विद फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर के साथ कि ये सारी चीजें बिल्कुल सही सलामत हैं। अब मैं आपको बताना चाहती हूँ कि पाकिस्तान के एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में ये बात की गई थी कि उनके सीनियर मिलिट्री ऑफिसर्स, जो कि पूरी तरह से ये भ्रामक है और तथ्यों से दूर है, कि पाकिस्तान की ओर से ये झूठा आरोप भी लगाया जा रहा है कि भारतीय सेना ने मस्जिदों को नुकसान पहुंचाया। मैं इससे बिल्कुल स्पष्ट करना चाहती हूं कि इंडिया इज ए सेक्युलर नेशन और हमारी सेना भारत के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यूज की एक बहुत प्यारी झलक है। इंडियन
Thank you for staying with us. It's a stoppage of fire that's been agreed upon till the 12th of May between Bharat and Pakistan after the DGMO of Pakistan picked up the phone and requested a conversation with his Bharatiya counterpart, and Bharat has said that the guns are still trained up. The position still remains offensive, but hands off the trigger. All non-kinetic offensive moves continue, including keeping the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. Now, here's what's happened. This is the level of damage that's been inflicted. Earlier in the briefing, it was just one word that came from the military that said, one sentence, Bharat has inflicted heavy damage to the enemy. On the other side, heavy damage. Now, here is some proof. following Indian airstrikes, Pakistan has declared the Rahim Yar Khan Air Base. It has the only runway. The only runway is non-operational for at least another week. It's issued a NOTAM for an estimated 7 days till the 17th of May 2025. Now, 8 air bases were targeted. Now, there are reports, and somewhere the hint was that at least 5 air bases have seen punitive punishment and have suffered huge damages. Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran was with us, is still with us. Tilak Devasharji with us, General Pandey with us, and Ambassador. And let's go across to Wing Commander Sudhakaran. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, we had confirmed pictures of the Sargodha Air Base where things had landed on the runway. Now Rahim Yar Khan NOTAM has already come out, which shows that till the 17th they are not operational. There was also some measures, some pictures that came on with what's happened in Pindi and also in Sialkot. So there is huge amount of damage that's been inflicted. And you were mentioning that our forces have literally crippled their air defense and air offense.
See, pictures of buildings are coming.
Wing Commander Sudhakaran, unable to hear you clearly. I don't know why. Yeah, it is at your own. Yeah, please try again. Let's try again. Yeah, sir, I can't hear you. Yeah, the mic is off, or you're on mute. I don't know, one of the things, but or maybe it's a poor bandwidth issue. So we'll just wait and to try and sort it out. Can we check again? Let's try that again. Yeah, yes, sir. Wing Commander, please allow us to fix this for you. We're not able to hear you, sir. So just give us about 2 minutes and we'll try and recheck the connection with you and try and get you back. Tilak Devasharji, your assessment. So Rahim Yar Khan, they're saying no time till the 17th. There is considerable damage. Should Bharat come out and go public with the amount of damage inflicted? Should the world know that Pakistan has now picked up the phone and is talking because they're licking their wounds, they want to collect their dead, and it's the damage inflicted. Even on the jihadi front, on the 7th, we heard them bad. 150 se zyada to mare hain. And some of their top commanders, operational commanders are dead, be it Lashkar, Hizbul or Jaish. Hizbul, many say, has been totally wiped out. And now to their military assets also, we've heard them. Ji.
I think so. I think if we have confirmed information, you don't want to be embarrassed if you go and the information is not correct. And you can make, through satellite imagery, the damage that you have done to Rahim Yar Khan. There were some reports about the Noor Khan base and other air bases and the number of terrorists and in Varitke and in Bhavalpur. I think certainly we should make out a dossier and present it to the world. Why shouldn't the world, why should we be shy? After all, we were provoked by Pakistan. They killed 26 of our innocent people. And why should we feel shy on the damage that we have inflicted? So that's my view.
Well, Chanakya says no matter how much you deal with it nicely, the only objective of a snake is to bite you with its poison. So let's hope that the intelligent minds who are busy at the back end have read Chanakya and also heard the Rashtaniti that Bhishma imparted to Yudhishthira, so Raj Dharma. Because at any point in time, the enemy has to be quelled for good if peace has to happen. If the end game is ahimsa, if the end game is peace, then those who are committed to hinsa have to be then first annihilated. So that's what Dharma speaks, and the establishment
also,
of Dharma speaks, our scriptures say.
So one of the points, I would be very skeptical about any agreement with Pakistan for stoppage of fire or even for a ceasefire. I'd be extremely skeptical because Pakistan has a reputation of breaking agreements, international agreements, forget bilateral. They have a reputation of doing so. So we should not lower our guard even for a moment when we negotiate the ceasefire or when it converts the stoppage of fire into a ceasefire agreement. I would be very, very watchful, very careful and not take them on their face word.
So after the MEA, Tilakji, now Akash is just telling us that defense sources have confirmed it's a bilateral understanding to stop fire and military action. Equating it with ceasefire would not be the correct conclusion. Communication would be set up and DGMOs would talk further. So So this is exactly why there is a clear hyphenation or a delinking of the term ceasefire and using the term stoppage of fire. So from the MEA to the MOD, they seem to have absolute clarity that this is not ceasefire.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
even though there are many experts who believe ceasefire and stoppage of fire is the same, what Major Jolly, Manik Jolly was saying and others were also saying, Lieutenant General Nachiketa was saying, Nishikanta Singh was saying that this is a newer term. This term says, as of now, I have my guns pointed at you, but I am not pulling on the trigger, be it land, sea, or air. And this is only for a temporary time because you have asked for it and we have agreed for it. Ceasefire will come when there are agreements, conditions are set, there are terms set, and whoever then violates the agreement becomes violative of the ceasefire. So we have not got to the stage of ceasefire because both of us are not yet talking. It's just a phone call saying, थोड़ी देर के लिए युद्ध बंद कर दीजिए तो हमने बंद किया है.
I think that's a very important distinction. And all of us in the media and all the people who are speaking on television must bear this distinction in mind. The stoppage of fire is very different from ceasefire. As you rightly said, ceasefire has conditions. And what those conditions are, we'll come to know now.
Right. Wing Commander, I'm just going to check your thoughts on this, sir. You're nodding your head, so let's hope we can hear.
What I was trying to tell you
Yeah, we
was,
can hear you now well. Yes, please.
Yeah, what I was trying to tell you was that the pictures that you showed, that is one side of the story. If the Indian Air Force would have done its job, it would have targeted the blast bench with the aircrafts in it. And with the kind of satellite imagery that we have, we know exactly where these aircrafts were parked, when, what time. It would have been very difficult for those aircrafts to have escaped the wrath of the Indian Air Force if they have been able to reach the airbase itself. So I'll be more interested in looking at what kind of platforms got neutralized. See, a runway going down, it can come up in 15 days. But a radar going down or an aircraft itself going down, then there is no point in having that runway in the first place. And in my assessment, the Indian Air Force would have inflicted very, very deep wound because the numbers wouldn't have been known. Pakistan would have definitely known the number. That's why the panic button has been pressed today. Number one, this needs to be understood. Number two, this is when Pakistan has given that slightest hint to our establishment that we are willing to negotiate. So far, they were not willing to negotiate. They were in rhetorics. They were trying to tell you we are as good as you are. Today, for the first time, they've realized that if we continue to do this rhetorics and lies, this will further take down them to a state where there will be no point of no return, because once the Rafales go on the Pakistani air bases and the Pakistani army establishments, it's going to be very difficult. The people are going to get neutralized inside their barracks. That's not acceptable to Pakistan, number one. Now, if the Indian establishment is going to get this kind of a moral high ground as well as a leverage on the Pakistani establishment, I think they should give that a chance. So I don't agree to the point that Op Sindoor is not to be seen as, this should not be seen as cessation of hostilities. Abhi, if you can pardon me, I'll just expend myself. I want to use 2-3 expletives here. दुल्हन पे तो सिंदूर लगा दिया हमने, अभी हल्दी सेरेमनी बाकी है, मेहंदी लगाना बाकी है, अभी ऑप्स फेरे बाकी हैं, फाइनली सुहागरात भी होगा और फिर 4 बच्चे भी होंगे उसके. That is the way that we can go all the way. Pakistan can see that today. That shadi will happen if they don't behave themselves. And Modi has that tap in his hands. Tap on, tap off. Once the farmers get into rebellion because of the lack of water supply, Sindh and Punjab will fight. It is not Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Those are morons. They don't know how to fight. But if Sindh and Punjab comes to trade blows, then we have a situation there. So Modi is giving the long rope as far as I can see. He is not happy. He is respecting Pakistan for whatever little they are worth. And then he's taking it easy. See, why are we hurrying? I don't understand. In this TV channels, everybody is telling we shouldn't have left them, we should have gone. In fact, there was one anchor who told me today morning that very first day itself we would have taken this airbase off. If you'd have served in the Air Force, you understand what it all means. This is not a thing. Seeing IPL, we have got into this 2020 board. We think it is all about hitting sixes and 10 sixes in 10 overs. This doesn't work like that. You need to take one step at a time, measure, calibrate, look.
Sir,
You cannot
sir,
corner the enemy beyond the point.
Sir, with due respect, and I totally take your point, and please understand that a lot of the journalists and a lot of the viewers have not seen open conflict. This is a generation that has not been in a state of war or preparedness. Even during Kargil, the conflict was limited to only the heights. Balakot, post Balakot, whatever happened over Jammu and Kashmir. So those who live in the forward areas, those who lived in those areas, who have seen the kind of shelling and pummeling that happens and have borne it, they will have a very different perspective from the rest of Bharat who have never seen all of this. This is the first time that there is a talk about air sirens. There is a whole generation that did not even know that there is something called these sirens and they go off, and what is evasive action, etc. So there will be a lot of people who say, "Arey ghus ke wahi maar ke aa jao na." So it's not so easy. Everybody understands that. But there is also a thought process which very clearly says that when we as a nation have shown a shift in our strategic posture, a shift in our defense posture or our military posture, and there is a position where the enemy is brought to their knees. Should we spare the enemy at this time? Should we say, okay, I will take my finger off the trigger? Or should we finish the enemy once and for all? So that's where a lot of people are saying. But on this comes the levels of diplomacy, that comes the levels of statecraft, and there is also, like General D.P. Pandey said, that you cannot go into anything in a rush. You keep the enemy on the knee, you keep the gun trained on that person, and then you set the terms and conditions for them to behave. They knowing fully well that the gun is never off. The gun is always pointed right there in the middle of their on their forehead, and it's point blank. And it's just a matter of seconds that the trigger will be pressed. So I think that is the posture that people, our viewers, need to understand, and that's the reason why Bharat is very clearly saying it is between us who's holding the gun now, and it is the enemy who's on the knee. There is no third party involved. So that's where it is. It is between the two of us, and that's where we're going to talk, and we're going to talk from a position of strength, which the Pakistanis thought we never had, the will that we never had, and of course the strategic depth that they thought we didn't have. So we've outmaneuvered them, outthought them, and we have outpummeled them. All of this has happened. So there is a whole set of things which has been done. Gentlemen, I've got to take another break. We're just coming up to the top of the hour, so that's why I'm going to take another break. But General Pandey, you put your hand up. You wanted to say something. So yes, please go ahead.
No, we'll do it after the break.
नहीं बोलिए आप बोलिए.
Yeah, it's a long haul. Okay, train of thought to the other. Yeah. The issue of stoppage and ceasefire. I just want to amplify a little bit.
Ji.
Right, a stoppage of fire is something like taking a breather, allowing the other side to have a time off. Right. Even in military maneuvers, even at a short range engagement, even a very, very sub-tactical level, when we punish the other side, and other side will claim that they punish us. There are times that you need to, either side takes a break either for casualties or for, this at the national level is just a stoppage of fire. It has got nothing given, right? Now when the ceasefire agreement will come up, the ceasefire agreement was about 5 years back when I was the Corps commander. That will have certain very great pointers that what will lead to an infringement of ceasefire, and thereafter what are the steps that will happen is going to be as part of your internal discussions. These pointers, these points has to be decided. This will get decided now with some back and forth in the same. But at this very time, we should be very careful to not allow internationalization of they're saying nobody. This is where the diplomatic offensive is very, very important. That the chief. Why did they go for Kargil? Musharraf knew that he's lost the plot, and they went for Kargil operation. And in fact, he continued to say that the issue got internationalized because of the Kargil, and Kashmir came right in the center of the debates at that point of time. This view should not come out again in this aftermath of when the ceasefire happens. It's very, very important that the Pakistanis should not get an idea to go back. There is a second part you have to see. Look at the pictures, a contrasting picture. Khwaza being pummeled in his own parliament, making statements that he got this news from social media. There's a picture of these 3-4 ragtag people sitting, leading the nation, so-called nation,
Ji.
sitting together. Their face was virtually very, very clear of fear. There was
Ji.
hardly any military representation because military was the one who was controlling. It was
Ji.
only a figurative thing. And there is a second photograph in which the Prime Minister is interacting. I don't think even he was having a debate or something. He was just interacting. People are sitting. There's a composed, calm. There is a two different nation. A rabid dog outside and a house which is fully secure, nothing much can happen.
Yeah, the viewers,
I think
gentlemen,
that's
guess that new break cancelled. General Pandey, if you're anyway watching the broadcast, they're all sitting on a briefing. Vikram Misri is there, the 3 service chiefs are there, CDS is there, Prime Minister is there, EAM Jaishankar, NSA Ajit Doval. Then there is also the Deputy NSA, I think, is there, and we also have Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh. So they're all present there. And look at their body language, compare that to the Pakis. Yes, General Pandey, you were talking about.
I did not know that they were having a water premonition, But look at the conversation which is happening. It is a conversation of contents. This is what needs to be showcased to the world, that this is a 4 trillion economy which is moving with pace and ahead, right? And this small little entity, which is actually a tool of the West, right? And at times a tool of the Chinese. Their state remains as a tool. So somewhere I think in our deliberation and talks, it requires to be kept this in mind. Otherwise, we may get equated by this country which has actually got no standing in the world.
Ji. Tilak Devasha ji? Yeah, you're spot on, sir. You're spot on this, on the manner, demeanor, and this is what we need to focus on. But there is also a huge difference between a Bharat in 2008 and a Bharat in 2025, Tilak Devasharji. And you've seen that evolution in strategic posture. This ability that we have developed has come in the last 10 to 12 years under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. How much would you want to credit his leadership, his vision, and of course the armed forces too, but the political establishment that has worked to tweak the deficiencies, worked to tweak the weaknesses, and to then create this huge gap between a nation that thought it could equate it with us and a nation today that is the 4th largest economy, even ahead of Japan in the world. Ji.
Well, certainly, I think the really important thing that has happened to change is the political will. That you have the will, you then create the assets, you then create the structures, you then create the power. So today, India is in a position to project power, diplomatic power as well as hard military power. And I think for that, you have to credit the leadership. See, any leadership has to first of all have an understanding of what the issues and problems are, has to have the vision, and then to have the courage to implement it. I think India is extremely fortunate that, in the Prime Minister, you have somebody who understands who has the vision and who has the courage. And therefore, today's position internationally, globally, is very, very different than, let's say, what it was 10 or 15 years ago. And you have the power. You have built that military power. Today, you have got a lot of the munitions that you're making yourself. Some of the things that were used in the last 3 or 4 days were actually manufactured in India. So if I agree, I think India is a very different place, and the world is taking notice of this.
Well, we've got to stay on. We're going to stay on. We was going to take a break. We're not taking a break. We're going to stay on. I'm going to thank our guests who are joining us all this while through the course of 7 to 8 p.m. It's 8 o'clock, 2000 hours on the clock. These are pictures. Kudos to this entire group. NSA Ajit Doval has seen times of strife, times of tribulations, and he continues to be there as the NSA well into his 80s, and one has to salute his energy. The other person that one would, as a viewer, as a Bharatiya, as a person who's proud of what our forces have been able to achieve, is the man who's chairing this, that is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. PM Narendra Modi, under his leadership, has taken Bharat to a level militarily, strategically, diplomatically and economically, where the world is sitting up and taking notice, where Bharat is able to also turn around and tell the world, you don't need to tell us how we need to take care of pesky neighbors. You don't need to tell us how we should defend our sovereignty, how we should avenge acts of terror on our soil. You just listen. this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. And this is a person whom nobody can ever say is Gayab. He is there 365 days, 24/7 at the helm, and over the last 5 days, ladies and to our viewers, we may have taken a short break. There are others who may have taken a nap, but he's been right at the front and center of it all in that war room, on top of things. He was there on the night of Operation Sindoor, and he's been there throughout the case, along with these people who have also worked tirelessly. The Chief of Defence Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Navy, the Chief of the Air Force, the intelligence groups, the heads, all of them have worked together, and this is a whole of government approach. The CCEA, the CCPA, the CCS, they have met continuously, they've stayed in touch, and also huge commendations to the nation's opposition. Barring a few motor mouths and rabble-rousers, largely the political leadership across the opposition has also been right behind the government of the day in defending our sovereignty and avenging the Pahalgam massacre. Huge shout out to the likes of Asaduddin Owaisi, Rahul Gandhi, Shashi Tharoor, who have not just mounted a stirring defense but also taken a position where there is no variance from the government's position, that no act of terror will be tolerated and terror will be avenged. So those who oftentimes in the past have been at loggerheads with the government on certain positions have been united in this one aspect, that this is a whole of nation approach. It's a whole of Bharat approach, and credit is and compliments are have to be given where they are due. But this man, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has really changed the way Bharat thinks. And it's also given an ability for Bharat to purchase 28 more Rafale on the eve of a possible conflict which is going to perhaps be a drain on our resources. He's been in a position where Bharat has emergency funds parked away for a situation like this, and we have the ability to last for 6 months, if not more, at a time when we are the 4th largest economy in the world, and a military prowess where 500 drones and not a single one landed on target, multiple missiles including ballistic missiles fired towards Bharat, not a single one finding their target, and some punitive punishment and pummeling, crippling of Pakistan's air defense systems, air offense systems, and getting them to raise the white flag within 3 nights of misadventure. So much of shame heaped upon. So much of shame heaped upon Asim Munir, the Pak general. So much of shame heaped upon those blustering netas of Pakistan who were brazenly lying and caught with their pants down. This is a nation that is strong. It makes us feel proud to be Bharatiya. And we have to thank the political leadership for setting that vision. And somewhere, perhaps we are onward on our path to becoming a Viksit nation by 2047. This is Atmanirbharta at play. Arun Dhanta is also with us. So much of our military equipment today is indigenous. Be it Akash, the missile defense systems working together with the S-400s and the Barracks which have come into play. Our drone defense systems, our own munitions, loitering munitions that are indigenously made. There is a huge level of Atmanirbharta that is reflective in our defense in Operation Sindoor. Arun Dhanta, so how long has this meeting been going on?
Anand, we just saw that 3 service chiefs, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Foreign Secretary, all of them have left from Prime Minister Modi's residence, but we haven't seen the cavalcade of National Security Advisor and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, which means that both of them are inside and perhaps they are having a separate meeting with Prime Minister Modi. As far as this meeting is concerned, it lasted more than 1 hour. All of them were there, of course. Some assessment would have been taken, and also, the message would be from the Prime Minister's side that we still need to be very, very, motivated, and also, of course, very alert at this point, because you can't never trust Pakistan. But yes, of course, one thing is very clear, that India has sent out a message to the Pakistan and also to the global community. And now, of course, you will see the process of going ahead. The process will go ahead. You will have a ceasefire by that time. But of course, Prime Minister Modi would have given a very, very clear message to the service chiefs that we need to be on toes. and all the forces and the infrastructure and everything strategy will be in place. And of course, the DGMO level talks will go on. But as we speak, of course, we can see some movement here outside. Perhaps now we'll see NSA, Ajit Doval, and the External Affairs Minister coming out from the 7 LKM. So the entire day has been, of course, of various meetings that took place here at Prime Minister Modi's residence. We saw in the morning all the service chief, Rajnath Singh, NSA coming here. Then they, left, and then they again came back in the evening. So I think the message is very clear from the Prime Minister's side that we should not lose our guard at this point. Let's see how talks go, everything go, and then perhaps we will see what next happens.
Well, yes, these are, so the meeting has come to a close. It's for about an hour, but there is also a certain level, and officially Operation Sindoor has not yet been called off. So let's understand that, viewers. Operation Sindoor is still on. This is just stoppage. This is stoppage till the 12th of May, when the DGMOs will meet. The DGMOs will speak not in a neutral area, at a place and time of the choosing of Bharat. And it is these two DGMOs, the DGMOs of Bharat and Pakistan, who are going to sit across, and that's when the conversation would say whether there is a deal or no deal. And the deal will be on Bharat's terms. This time the strategic posture is very, very different. Michael Rubin is with us, Glenn Carl is with us. We also have Kanwal Sibalji joining us, and NN Dubeji with us at this point. My namaste and Jai Hind to everybody, and good evening and greetings. It's perhaps morning over in the USA. Michael Rubin, your thoughts. You're very candid in saying that Bharat is right in trying to consider an act of terror as an act of war. But now we are given to understand this is going to remain the position and posture, that whether there is stoppage and if it eventually leads to ceasefire with Pakistan, the only demand is if there is another act of terror, Bharat does not need anybody's signal. It will unilaterally design and assume whether it's an act of terror and equate it with an act of war and go on the offensive. Do you believe that's the right posture to hold?
You very correctly.
That is absolutely the right posture to hold. Make no mistake, this is a victory for India, although the fight is not over. This is the end of the beginning rather than the beginning of the end. Terrorism is a cost-benefit analysis by those who embrace it. And what India has shown is that if Pakistan embraces terror by proxy in the future, the cost to Pakistan will be very, very high. No Pakistani leader has any excuse to doubt how India will respond. However, I would like to see this victory go further. The United States, which has helped mediate, needs to understand that there can be no more fig leaves. There can be no more mirages. That policy needs to be based on reality, not on rhetoric. So Pakistani denials of terror and Pakistani suggestions that they don't control their proxies have to go out the window. There can be no permanent solution until Pakistan is designated by the United States to be a state sponsor of terror. And before I turn the floor over, I do just want to give my congratulations to the men of the Indian Armed Forces who have achieved this, as well as to Indian politicians across the political spectrum for their amazing display of national unity.
Should President Trump, Mr. Rubin, should President Trump have claimed, or Secretary Vance have claimed credit even ahead of Bharat even officially announcing it or Pakistan announcing it? Because Bharat's position is that this is a bilateral issue.
My own personal viewpoint is that sometimes Washington talks too much, and that we tend to navel gaze in Washington and consider that the world revolves around us. President Donald Trump isn't known for wielding a scalpel. He's known for wielding an axe. That can sometimes be a benefit. More often than not, that's a drawback. So the short answer to your question is no. The United States needs to learn how to keep its mouth shut.
NND Dubeji, before I go across to Glenn Carl and Kanwal Sibalji, your thoughts on this? You've been in the thick of action. You've served Bharat well. You were part of the action that also accounted for wanted terrorists at a time when Bharat's military capability was questioned often. How is that compared to now? It was then and today.
It's a significantly at a very different level, because the correct justice has been meted out to the victims of Jaish-e-Mohammed, which has been at a very large scale in our soil right from 2000. It's almost 25 years period during which Jaish-e-Mohammed had they had attacked at a very, very different level, and I mean, historical terror attack on the Indian soil. So the first thing is that the citadel of Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur has been totally demolished, and quite a good number of wanted terrorists who were prescribed under UNSC and in the charge sheet of National Investigation Agency have been found killed. So that is one aspect. And Jaish-e-Mohammed's talisman has been broken completely. Now the your Murid Ke, that is the Lashkar's headquarter, has been very accurately targeted, and the achievement is quite significant. Your Sialkot, the headquarter of Hizbul Mujahideen, which was a Kashmir-grown terrorist outfit, it has also been completely taken head-on. So the achievement on these lines have been very, very significant, and to the extent that we have been able to significantly target the terrorist outfits and their headquarters, I think it's a very great achievement. And I think this is the new line run by our Prime Minister. This is the new line run by our armed forces, that see now, I mean, like you have mentioned that on 12th of May there will be a meeting at 12 o'clock, I think on 12th of May between DGMO. So, and you very correctly told it's only ceasefire. The stand up, the attack and counter attacks going on since last 3-4 days have been only stopped. But the Operation Sindoor is still on. It's not taken off. And also the various sanctions and various punitive measures imposed by the government on Pakistan are very clearly standing, and there will be a very hard deal, very, very tough deal. When both the leadership of military will meet, they will clearly convey, ki, see, in POK or from your soil, if there is going to be a single effort to create a terrorist outfit and to launch them on Indian soil to kill us, we are here to teach you lesson, as we have done just recently in 3-4 days back. So I think that is a very big step.
Right. Kamal Sibalji, your thoughts before I go across to Glenn Carl on the posture that's been adopted. I just want to underline that the Rahim Khan Air Base has right now come out and said there's a NOTAM issued based on the pummeling that it received overnight in what is the responsive or a retaliatory endeavor move by Bharat after Pakistan launched ballistic missiles, 500 plus drones, and also other projectiles, including loitering munitions over us, and nothing worked, nothing clicked. We've actually gone back and decimated a lot of their air bases. The NOTAM issued after that pummeling, there's nothing fresh after 1700 hours today, is that their runway is shut down. Their only operational runway is shut down till the 17th of May. So there will be more NOTAMs issued from of the other air bases where Pakistan has suffered serious reversals, severe reversals. Many are of the thought process, Kamal Sibalji, that Bharat should not have spoken to the DGMO today. There should have been another night of sweating off the Pakis before anything else would have happened. Your thoughts there?
Well, I think we are not sufficiently focusing on the American role. Trump has been talking about a ceasefire for some time, but Secretary Rubio, Vice President Vance, they have publicly said that they have been working the lines for the last 24, 48 hours with both sides, and both sides have agreed to a ceasefire. So, in a sense, it has been, according to the Americans, brokered by the Americans, and we should not dismiss this lightly. It is true that the actual, arrangements for a ceasefire have to be worked on the ground at the DGMO level, and therefore it is imperative that the DGMOs talk to each other. That is one part. The other is that this does not solve our larger problem of Pakistani supported terrorism. I mean, no country has successfully succeeded in the war against terror. You can punish. America has punished a lot of countries. They're still punishing Iran, but the problem of terrorism hasn't gone away. Why I'm mentioning this is not because of any lack of effort on our part, and I must congratulate our side for the very big steps they have taken and very successfully taken. But weaning away Pakistan from terrorism is actually going to mean a change in the way Pakistan is governed. And of course, a big change in the mood of the Pakistani society at large. And this is going to be a long process. It will actually mean that the role of the Pakistani army in the governance of the country has to materially change. And all the linkages that have been existed between the Pakistani armed forces and the jihadi organizations have to be broken. But it's not as simple as that. Even the civilian organizations are very much involved with the jihadi organizations. And then the society at large has become Islamic radicalized over the years, and therefore they have a lot of public support. Now we have to wait for the changes, which then leads me to the next point, that we must not roll back anything. All the diplomatic steps we've been taken, we should maintain them, ceasefire or no ceasefire. And secondly, we must now build up our autonomous military strength to a point where we don't need anybody's intermediation or good offices or anybody else. We should be autonomous in this regard and have sufficient force to compel Pakistan to give up its linkages with terrorism for fear that India has the resources and the capability to deal with them very, very strongly, which means spending much more on armed forces wherever the gaps are, closing those gaps, because Pakistan will be armed by China and by Turkey and some of the others.
Right.
So they're not going to give up. They're not going to give up. And finally, it's a pity that at this juncture, when there's a war going on, conflict going on, and the whole issue started with Pakistani terrorist attack in Pahalgam, the IMF has gone ahead and given them a relief, like $1 billion or what. Optically, it is so wrong. That's the least one can say. But politically, it is very wrong. They should have postponed this so as to make it clear to Pakistan that they can't keep receiving this money and build up their military strength, buy armaments from China and elsewhere, and give a large part of their financial resources to the Pakistani military, which is deeply linked to terrorism. So if United States and others are serious about dealing with terrorism, these are some of the things that they should take. It is not enough for them to broker a ceasefire, because brokering a ceasefire actually also means this kind of equivalence between India and Pakistan. There is no equivalence. There is no equivalence at all. Pakistan has to be, as was said by Mr. Rubin, time has come to treat Pakistan as a terror state. Whether declaring it a terror state or in some other means sanctioning it needs to be done. But we see that happening.
So back off on the kinetic option, but continue to stay on the offensive on the non-kinetic option. Glenn Carl, your thoughts there? And will nations like America have to also relook, the international community also have to relook how much of a leeway they end up giving a rogue nation like Pakistan?
Yes, I agree almost entirely with what the foreign minister said. I was very happy to hear his and listen to his remarks. I think what has happened has followed the classic pattern of terrorist action, response, counter response, and so on. But there are differences this time from previous ones. There is, I think, an incremental change, but a significant one. I'm not diminishing it. The response has been stronger. And now normally what will happen, and I expect this will be the case, is that Pakistan will back off on any sort of terrorist act that it can control for a time. We're talking months or a year or so until things die down. We're all like humans, and states are like water buffalo at the watering hole. Crocodile bites one, everyone runs away and is afraid for a few minutes, but eventually they have to go back to the water hole. And Pakistan, I think, will. They haven't changed, as the foreign minister points out, the nature of the regime and unfortunately the trends of the society and in the officer corps that support this kind of terrorist activity. It's the weak state's response to a stronger state. India is growing stronger relative to Pakistan daily, and it's hard to imagine that the international community will completely pressure or walk away from Pakistan, because the dilemma has always been, this is what my colleagues and I, people much more senior than I, of course, for decades have struggled with respect to Pakistan. If we pressure Pakistan so intensely that it destroys the society, or the government rather, things will become worse for everybody else. Whereas if we continue to turn a half-blind eye, things remain intolerable. That's the unsolvable problem so far with a dysfunctional state in a society with an officer corps that's becoming more radicalized. So this is, I think, a proper step and a success relatively, but it's not really a defeat for Pakistan because they'll just back off, lay low, and until, as the foreign minister points out, the nature of the society and the government are changed with, I hope, from additional pressure from outside states, India will continue to have the same the persistent problem.
Kamal Sibalji is former foreign secretary, not the foreign minister, but that's the only amendment that I would like you to make, Glenn. But thoughts are there. But what next? Sushant Sareen, your thoughts, and then I'll come back to you, Michael Rubin. Gentlemen, one after the other. We have a lot of fantastic voices joining us here on this very special broadcast. And Sushant Sareen, before you make your comment, I just would like to in all humility, thank all our guests and also our viewers for appreciating our coverage and for being with us through Operation Sindoor. And this coverage continues as long as Operation Sindoor is also on. And a big thank you to our entire team at the back end that's also worked tirelessly to bring this coverage to our viewers. Yes, Sushant Sareen. Yeah.
Anand, I don't want to be boastful, but I can tell you this, that, and with all due respect to all my seniors on the show, especially Mr. Sibal, who I have tremendous respect for, I don't think we're understanding the monumental stuff which has happened over the last 3 days. I don't think we are appreciating what has happened. We have kicked the Pakistanis so hard. Look, the Pakistani Punjabi Muslim will never admit defeat, even if his nose is rubbed in the dust. So they are trying to pretend that they have come out with something to, some kind of a victory. And they made India back off. But the fact of the matter remains, India didn't back off. The Pakistanis have not even got an assurance of an American mediation. I'll take you back to Kargil.
Right.
When Kargil happened, Nawaz Sharif went scurrying like a rabbit to Bill Clinton to get some kind of a deal. We told the Americans that you ask these guys to leave our territory, and that's the only deal they get. Okay. And then, as a fig leaf, Clinton said, I will take personal interest in India-Pakistan relations, something to that effect. Okay, that was the fig leaf with which Nawaz came back, and he said, now I have got American mediation. Okay, something similar has happened this time. I can assure you there will be no third-party mediation, none whatsoever. India will not accept it. This government, at least, no question of it. So any Pakistani who's trying to tom that they will get some kind of American mediation or some kind of talks with India, you might just get, if at all, the two NSAs meeting in some third country and quietly, India delivering the message of its wish list. Pakistanis have no wish list. Please try to understand what has happened. They ran to America this time. The Americans also spoke to us. We said, look, we don't have a problem in de-escalation. Something, Anand, I have been saying on your program over the last 2 or 3 days. We are ready to, we have delivered the message. When they upped the ante, we've hit them so hard, yesterday in fact, that they have no bloody idea what hit them. This Musharraf fellow, these Punjabi Muslims are such boastful fellows. This Musharraf guy used to threaten the Baloch that you will not know what has hit you. The Pakistan army does not know what has hit it. The Pakistan Air Force does not know what has hit it. You have destroyed 5 of their air bases. 3 have been damaged severely.
Yes.
Okay. You have hit other defense installations which these guys are hiding. And I would encourage the government of India to come out with all the details and reveal it to the public to rub their nose in the dust. So what did they do? They ran to the Americans. The Americans were also talking to us, and we told them that, look, if the Pakistanis want to talk to us, ask them to call us directly. After what happened last night, these Pakistanis desperately tried to get in touch with India. Okay, where they were told, fine, we are ready to accept a ceasefire, but the red line now is you do any terror attack on us, and we'll hit you so hard you won't know what the hell has hit you. That entire nuclear bluff of Pakistan has not only been called, it has been turned on its head.
Right.
Pakistan has been told that next time you try and do something like what you did in Pahalgam, you kill innocent Indians, you carry out terrorist attacks, we'll annihilate you. And I say it with all seriousness. That is the message which has been delivered to these guys.
Right.
Okay? So now we have played it cool and we played it very calmly. And the Pakistanis are, jumping around like jackrabbits trying to show that, okay, fine, we've, got a great victory. But the Pakistan army knows what has hit them. The Pakistan Air Force knows what has hit them. And all this Chinese and Turkish weaponry has turned out to be rubbish.
Right.
Okay? Their drones failed. Then all those so-called Turkish Bayraktar and all that nonsense which they've been selling all over the world, they turned out to be utter duds. Okay, all the Chinese weapon systems failed.
HQ9 failed,
and
big time.
frankly, I was not aware of it, and I think hats off to the Indian Armed Forces, and much of our stuff was indigenous. We didn't even use the S-400s.
Yes.
Okay, so all the stuff which we managed, the Air Force and the other armed forces that they put together, the shields which we had, worked spectacularly. And all the stuff which the Pakistanis threw at us, it just went waste.
Right.
They are today open. If we want, we can hit any place we want in Pakistan. They have no air defense, virtually no air defense left. Okay. So please try and understand the kind of military domination we have established in the last 3 days. Does it mean that Pakistan is like a dog's tail? You can put it for 12 years in a pipe, it will not straighten out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't expect them to straighten out, but please try and understand the objective realities of that place.
No.
Their economy is tanking, it's not going to revive.
Right.
They have 2 major insurgencies on their western borderlands, and we saw evidence of that yesterday with the Balor mounting a mini Tet offensive and the Taliban doing their own stuff. Okay, while these Punjabi Muslims are prancing around acting like they're some kind of Superman and got their butts kicked. So what are their options? Their economy has tanked. Nobody is giving them any money. Those $2 billion they've lost yesterday and today, which they got from the IMF. Okay, you can be rest assured they'll be running to the IMF for a 26th program within the next year or two.
Right.
Their army is now going to feel the heat because they understand that they have lost. So there'll be a lot of discontent within the army. I can assure you Asim Munir's career is over.
Yep.
So is Shahbaz Sharif also going to go into the rubbish bin. And Imran Khan's career, I think Modi has resurrected Imran Khan's career now. I can assure you that. You wait and see how this thing plays out over the next few weeks.
The fact
maybe
is,
a few. So there's a massive change which has come about, and the Pakistanis know what their former chief had told some of these low-life journalists who prance about like journalists but behave like Havaldars of the Pakistan army. He had told their journalists that we don't have the military wherewithal anymore. Our military is hollow from within. Now these guys, because the Punjabis have this habit of, tom-tomming their achievements, these guys were, beating their chests, acting like chimpanzees, in heat.
Right.
And they got their butts kicked this time because they had nothing in store. So please understand the massive transformation which has come in the last 3 days.
See,
and the kind of military domination that has been established. And we are very comfortable turning our backs on the Pakistanis. And I can assure, and Mr. Sibal, of course, probably has more contacts than I have, not a single thing which we have done over the last 7, 8, 10 days, all the steps that we have announced, not a single thing we are taking back. Whether it's the Indus Waters Treaty, it's the trade, nothing. We are not taking back anything. In fact, we are going to double down on some of those measures. You can be rest assured.
So those are the non-kinetic offensives that will continue, Sushant Sareen.
But the kinetic options remain.
Anand, I'm saying, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Made very clear to them.
Correct.
If they were to try anything else now, the response India's side will be even fiercer than what it has been this time.
Right. So I think
They know it.
at every level from 2016 onwards, the gradation or the level of response to an act of terror has only gone up after a certain level of resilience or restraint that's been shown. And even here, like I said, salute to those unsung heroes who have created a certain level of indigenous tech that Bharat does not need to respond to or rely on anybody else. And there are supplies which are there that will last on for months. So there is also a huge salute to those people. And sometimes it's better to be a little silent and for the others to assume that we are not as strong as we are and underestimate our capabilities and strength and then be surprised. Now, had any of those 500 drones landed, had any of those Fatah 1 or 2 missiles landed, had any of those loitering munitions landed, and some effect would have happened, it was different. And there was a certain level of underpreparedness post Balakot, which has been over the last 6 years mitigated. The turnaround is phenomenal, and I think as viewers, as citizens who do not understand conflict, who have never been in the face of war in a long time, and who are even insulated during Kargil, today have felt the pinch of what it feels to be getting into a state of war, and they've seen how our defense systems are working. So there is a certain confidence also that's been restored, and self-esteem that's been increased in every Indian citizen today. So all these aspects remain. Sushantji, you'll have a whole. I'll come back to you. Okay, one sentence. Okay, then I'll go across to Michael Rubin. Yeah, I got to be fair in terms of talk time to everybody. G.
Remember one thing, that so far it was air to surface missiles and drones mostly. The Pakistanis used surface to surface missiles.
Yes.
If any of those missiles had landed and caused any civilian casualties, the response from India would have been devastating.
Yeah,
so
that's
the
true.
Pakistanis did it. So
Yeah.
I think it be very clear that we did not even use our full potential.
We have we've not even those details will come out, but what I'm given to understand, we have not even tested up to 5 to 10% of our operational capabilities. 10% is where we are, and we've got the enemy to their knees. We've not gone to our ballistic missiles. We've not gone to we got ICBMs. The BrahMos have not yet been put into action, and there are certain munitions which are a part of our air force which have not come into play. The Navy has just been doing patrolling and exercises. It's not even come into play. So even 5 to 10% of our operational capabilities we've not put into use. All of this is there, but the outthinking of the enemy, out strategizing, out maneuvering, out pummeling, all of this is there. But how does this move forward? What is the message the international community takes from here, Michael Rubin? What next?
Okay, let me try to do this in less than 60 seconds.
No, please take your time.
There's two points I want to make.
You can take 120. Please go ahead.
It's okay. There's 2 points I want to make. First of all, this is the third war in which one side should be objectively surprised by how ill-prepared their military was. We've seen the Russia-Ukraine conflict, in which Ukraine did far superior to what the Russians expected. We've seen the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict, in which the Armenians clearly, back in 2020, were unable to predict the importance of drone warfare, and they were decimated because of that. Their defense minister is actually in prison right now because of the corruption and the sheer incompetence that led to Armenians' defeat in 2020 against Azerbaijan. Now, the question is whether Pakistan is going to have the same sort of introspection as to the failure of its military to prepare over several years. Part of the reason may be corruption, part of the reason may be just general incompetence. The Russian military hasn't had that introspection. The Armenian military has. Let's see where the Pakistani military goes. But as Glenn and others have said, we also need to have the civilians come back into power in reality in Pakistan, and have a complete reorganization of Pakistani governance so that we can undo a half century of incitement and Islamism within Pakistan. Here's the problem. 17 years ago, the United States put forward this Kerry-Lugar amendment to try to direct aid to the Pakistani civilians to the detriment of the military. And it actually led to a great blowback as the military lied and basically showed itself willing to burn down Pakistani society rather than give up their privileges. That is the basic problem which we are going to face now moving forward. And that is something that the international community needs to focus upon. My concern is because the Pakistani military has become a satrapy of China, China is going to do everything possible to prevent the Pakistani military from losing its position, to prevent meaningful reform. We need to have a serious conversation internationally about what that means.
You've brought the China aspect just as I was about to touch upon it. Gents, I'm compelled to take a very, very short commercial break, and we'll take this conversation forward because there is a silent partner in all of this who's sitting on the flanks and watching very carefully, and that's the Chinese, the CCP. What are they going to think, and how are they going to use this maneuver and these developments, and how are they going to recalibrate? We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us, please.
Network 18 is now the clear leader in digital media, with 55% more users on native platforms and social media than Times Internet. Network 18, the undisputed leader of news networks, way ahead of the times.
Mahi sir.
I welcome you to this press briefing on Operation Sindoor and related developments. We have with us Commodore Ravi Nair, Colonel Sophia Qureshi, and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh to brief you. With that, I hand over the floor to Commodore Nair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the Foreign Secretary had said, you're aware there's an understanding that has been reached to stop all military activities at sea, on the air and on the land. And the Indian Navy, Indian Army and the Indian Air Force have been instructed to adhere to this understanding. Since the tragic events at Pahalgam, you're aware that our responses have been measured and very responsible. Details of these have been shared with you over the past few days through our various press briefings. What has also happened is that there is a significant amount of misinformation that is being undertaken from the other side. And as a professional military organization, we thought it is also our duty to dispel those misinformation aspects, as also state the facts of the case as they stand. Towards that, I will now hand over to my colleague, Colonel Qureshi.
नमस्कार.
Welcome back, viewers. And sometimes these off-cam conversations which we have with some of the veterans are far greater interest than what we are having on-cam. But these are details that cannot be put out in public domain. So that's what NN Dubeji was sitting right next to me. He's not just a veteran, a hero in himself, but he's also saying the kind of work that the BSF has done and some phenomenal safai or cleanup that's happened along the LOC with respect to terror launch pads and some of these drone launching centers. We put out some of the visuals earlier in the day, but it's happened in far greater detail. That's what he was saying. That's the amount that we can reveal to you on public television. If you catch NN Dubeji somewhere, ask him and he will tell you off camera and off the record. But let's come back to what needs to be spoken on record. The CCP is going to be watching. The Chinese were the other ones, Kaval Sibalji, Sushant Sareen, Michael Rubin and NN Dubeji, and to our viewers. The Chinese were the others who are making a lot of noise about trying to show restraint, trying to say that we will try and ensure that both of them, we urge both sides to mediate and to de-escalate. Do you think that had the Americans not made the move, the Chinese would have entered the fray? They would have tried to make some moves here? Kamal Sibalji, and what next for the Chinese? Because they would also be assessing Bharat's military capabilities. They would look at this and say, oh, they've got these capacities along their western side. What are they doing on the eastern domain?
Well, I don't think the Chinese would have intervened in the way the Americans have, because the Americans today have very good relations with India, and that is reciprocated by India. The kind of progress that we are seeing in India-US relations is almost unprecedented. And the United States has always maintained a close dialogue with Pakistan for a variety of reasons. The CENTCOM has a particular view of Pakistan's role. And at the end of the day, not only the United States, but Europe and Russia or China or any other country does not want the implosion of Pakistan or a breakup of Pakistan. For a variety of reasons, they have their self-interest. And one of the reasons is to maintain some kind of a balance in the Indian continent. This has been in the case of China, of course, it is more than maintaining a balance. They want to actually create, neutralize India strategically by arming Pakistan in the way they have. But China doesn't have that kind of understanding with us. I mean, we have to first solve our problems with China in Ladakh and across our frontier for them to have any credibility with us as any kind of an honest broker who wants a settlement between in India and Pakistan. On the contrary, they'll continue to support Pakistan. Yes, at the same time, they are making overtures to India, but this is not at the expense of the relationship with Pakistan. We should not have that illusion at all. They'll continue to fund Pakistan, to arm Pakistan to the extent that Pakistan can pay for Chinese arms and what have you. But maybe they like to maintain some kind of a balance so that they don't compromise what they think is some kind of a forward movement in India-China relations. For a variety of reasons. One, of course, that they're embroiled in a huge strategic challenge in the Western Pacific with the United States.
Right. Kamal Sibalji, just now, sorry to interrupt you, but just now, we have Shehbaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan, now taking to X, and he said, "We thank President Trump for his leadership and proactive role for peace in the region. Pakistan appreciates the United States for facilitating this outcome, which we have accepted in the interest of regional peace and stability. We also thank Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio for their valuable contributions for peace in South Asia. Pakistan believes this marks a new beginning in the resolution of issues that have plagued the region and prevented its journey towards peace, prosperity and stability." So you know what they are trying to do. Kamal Sibalji.
Again, trying to bring back the hyphenation between India and Pakistan, so far as the United States is concerned. And this is the unfortunate part, as was said by Mr. Rubin, that the American side should be a little more careful in publicly intervening in these matters and creating the impression that they treat both India and Pakistan as equals, as Trump's statements have indicated, that we have relations with India, we have relations with Pakistan, we have dialogue with both countries, and we are inviting them this and that and that. So it's unfortunate. I think at the end of the day, the thing is that Pakistan military is the one that holds the country together as a unified entity. And if the Pakistan military is defeated, I think there is concern that Pakistan may actually begin to break up because the vociferous tendencies in Pakistan have become sharper and sharper, particularly now with Balochistan and the northwestern province, the Pakhtunkhwa, whatever it is called, and Sindh, and therefore they want to be able to give a degree of support to the Pakistan armed forces. Remember when this army chief went to the United States, who was it? He was received in the White House. He was received by Blinken. He was received by the UN Secretary General.
Yes.
He was given full honors. And recently, Secretary Rubio spoke to him because they also know where the real power lies. So one has to understand the.
But even as we speak, even as he says, Tejinder Sodhi is getting us these details that there is ceasefire violation from Pakistan Army in Akhnur sector of Jammu, Rajouri, Mendhar area of Poonch. Bharatiya Sena is responding in equal or if not more amplified measure that is there. But here in these things we've also lost, and there is confirmation coming in from the BSF, and salute to the braveheart Subedar Mohammad Imtiaz, Sub-Inspector Mohammad Imtiaz, beg your pardon, Sub-Inspector Mohammad Imtiaz, who made the supreme sacrifice. That's what the BSF has said, and this happened in Jammu. So BSF Jammu saying that Sub-Inspector Mohammad Imtiaz, we lost him and we salute the sacrifice that he made in service of the nation on 10th May 2025 during cross-border firing along the international boundary in Araspura district of District Jammu. While leading a BSF border outpost, he gallantly led from the front. DG BSF and all ranks offer the deepest condolences to his family, and there will be the wreath-laying ceremony will be done in full honors. So we are losing civilians. We've lost some of our brave hearts But in this case, there is ceasefire violation now, even as along the LOC, NN Dubeji. So what is this then?
I think
I'll just go to Akash for a bit and then I'll come to you, sir. Akash, yes.
There are reports of ceasefire violations in multiple sectors across LC, specifically in the Jammu subdivision, where we are learning about ceasefire violation from Poonch area. In Rajouri, people have seen several drones, approaching the area. And in Akhnur also, we have reports of ceasefire violations. Sources are confirming these violations where Indian Army is also retaliating. We are getting some unconfirmed reports from international border too that we are checking. But this is ceasefire violation happening from Pakistan at a time when just today, it was categorically mentioned that both the sides have agreed, that in fact understanding has reached where, they will be stopping the military activities. And
Akash, I'm getting it from a military person itself that there is heavy shelling in Poonch also, and Poonch, yes. Rajouri sector, and even Akhnor. There is artillery that's come in, the borders opened up. So does this mean that all aspect of stoppage of fire is off? Because that's what the Pakis wanted, right? But their guns are firing right now.
Anand, that would be, that would not be a right conclusion at this point, because even now we are waiting for some sort of official confirmation from Indian Armed Forces as to what is actually happening. Because as far as ceasefire violation is concerned, so even after 2021, we had, some instances of violation happening. But whether or not this violation is getting counted in ceasefire violation or something else is there, definitely, drone.
No, it is supposed to be stoppage of all military action. What has been agreed is stoppage of all military action. NN Dubeji?
Yes.
You are right. Once there is a ceasefire, there has to be ceasefire. But what I think that probably the cross-border firing has been their practice. I mean, right from beginning, and the cross-border firing, the agreement and the understanding has been many times violated. So I am just surprised how it has happened, because of my report, Pallanwala, Akhnur, Naushera and Pargwal. Pargwal is very close to, this RS Pura Jammu border, and there has been violation. I have just got a report. I am just thinking how it happened, but again subject to confirmation, whether it actually happened. But this is very surprising. If there is a declaration understanding after 5:30 p.m. today, then there should not have been any violation. And I think again the opposite side will be replied suitably in the same coin. But it puts a question mark. I mean, the
Pargwal you said is Rajouri, right? So
Pargwal is in Jammu area.
In Jammu area, Jammu area. So Poonch, Rajouri, Akhnur also, and you said Pargwal. So in the Jammu area along the border there is the guns are blazing, and it's the Pakistani artillery fire.
Actually, Pargwal has been very prone to under-surface tunneling earlier, and the tunneling done by these terrorist outfits have been detected in past. There may be many a times they try to give the covering fire to the people who are basically venturing this under surface tunneling, and also the stealth infiltration inside the territory. There could have been a support, but I am not very confirmed at this state under what circumstances this firing has taken
place. Sir, at
place.
8:38 p.m., Michael Rubin, Sushant Sareen and NN Dubeji and also Kanwal Sibbalji. This is what, at 8:38 p.m. the BSF Punjab Frontier has now tweeted saying a terror plot foiled. BSF and Punjab Police recover arms and explosives on the Amritsar border. In remarkable success, BSF and Punjab Police thwarted a cross-border terror bid by recovering a large cache of arms and explosives in Amritsar. So what has been seized is seizure of 2.7 kilograms of high explosive, 2 hand grenades, 2 pistols, 4 magazines, 30 live rounds, 2 detonators and IED circuit. The arms and explosives were packed in a yellow plastic packet with a metal wire loop indicating drone dropped.
It must be drone dropped. It must be through drone only, because earlier also they have been doing this. Since last 3 years they are doing on complete Punjab border and Jammu border, and in Kashmir also. So drone has been a very favorite means of dropping these stuff inside the Indian territory for the OGWs and for the
drones have been spotted in Ramgarh border in Samba. There is a video that's come in. Tejan Sodi has just shared this. We'll try and get him on the phone also and see if we can get some confirmation on this. Drones have been dropped even in Samba. Now, Michael Rubin, Sushant Sareen, Kanwal Sibbal. So, They wanted stoppage of all military action. Look what's happening. The proxies are at work. They're trying to make drone drops. There is artillery shelling. So how should Bharat read this now?
Anand, yes. Okay. Well, what you often have in these sorts of conflicts is certain groups acting as spoilers. Now, we saw this, for example, with the Irish Republican Army, where you had the spoiler being the real Irish Republican Army. And the problem is, however, that many terrorist groups and their sponsors understand this pattern. And so the question then becomes whether the Pakistanis are sincere or are simply doing a good cop, bad cop sort of scenario. No one should allow them to get away with that sort of cynical strategy or murder. The fact of the matter is, the position when Indian authorities talk to their American counterparts or anyone else in the world is it's not our responsibility that Pakistan isn't in order. It's the job of any sovereign government to monopolize the use of force within its own borders. Therefore, we are going to attribute any attack coming across the Pakistani border to the government of Pakistan itself. We are not going to descend into this pattern of trying to distract us by questioning responsibility or discussing rogue behavior or that sort of thing. If the Pakistani government cannot control its own territory, then we are going to conclude that Pakistan no longer has a government with which we can deal, that Pakistan essentially is on the path to ceasing to exist.
Well, there are pictures now. Yeah, see, there are now confirmed pictures coming through. We've put them on the screens of drones being spotted over Jammu. This is on the Ramgarh border area in Samba. Now, these drones would either be dropping munitions or they'll be dropping loaded arms for local activity by terrorists who are perhaps infiltrators who are here. There is also visuals coming in from Jammu and Akhnor. What the BSF now is saying is there is ceasefire violation in Gurez, but the BSF has been given a free hand. The BSF has been given a free hand कि वहाँ से अगर बंदूक चले तो तोड़ो इनको, बैंड बजाओ इनका. But the fact is they called for ceasefire, stoppage of military action. Now this is drones. Now drones are being neutralized in the air. Tejinder Sodhi joining us with more. Yes, Tejinder.
See, Anand, there are reports of ceasefire violation, and the army has confirmed it that Pakistan army resorted to unprovoked ceasefire violation, and the firing right now is going on in several sectors across Jammu. The firing is underway in the Akhnur sector, the firing is underway in the Rajouri sector, the firing is also underway in the Mender sector of Poonch. We just got the inputs that the firing is also underway in the Gurez sector of Bandipora. The Indian Army is giving a befitting response to the Pakistani aggression, and also right now several drones have been spotted in various places across Jammu and Kashmir, and the anti-drone mechanism and the air defense mechanism of the Indian armed forces have also been activated to take down those drones. At certain places, especially in the one of the most vital installation of the Indian armed forces in Udhampur, sirens are underway, the air raid sirens are underway, and anti-aircraft guns are blazing to take down the threat from the air. So right now,
what time are these pictures? What is the timestamp on these pictures, and when did this happen? Because there is talk that we'll try and go back to Tejinder Sodhi in just a bit, get him back on the phone line just to see around what time did this happen. Do you have any information कि ये कब हुआ था NN Dubey ji? Because I know you're in touch with some of the people on ground.
Regarding this recent ceasefire, na?
ये जो आज शाम का जो हुआ है अभी.
Yeah, the time is 8:22. I got the information at 8:22.
So 8:22, that is real time update that you've got.
Yes.
So clearly, contrary to certain Ishan Wani is with us. Ishan, some blast sounds heard over Srinagar also, and Gurez.
It seems like possibly on the day when the announcement was made, that there's a possibility that drones might have been spotted, because it sounded like those anti-drone missiles have been shot in the air to bring down the drones, and possibly it was a drone movement that was directed by the forces. And we clearly heard, I was at home, multiple blasts of drones, possibly intercepting those drones in the air, and they might have attempted to target. It has happened on a day when, earlier both the countries made
Omar Abdullah also has just tweeted, what the hell happened? What the hell just happened to ceasefire? Explosion heard across Srinagar, and with 3 exclamation marks. Exactly.
Heavy blast in Srinagar. I also got the report.
There is a heavy blast in Srinagar. That's what that's happening. So clearly, drone action and the counter action that is happening at this point. So there cannot be counter action till drones are sent. Yes, Ishan. At what time did you hear this?
Well, it exactly happened at 8:53, and that's when the sounds of, I beg your pardon, at 8:52. That's when the sounds of multiple blasts being heard. I heard it personally, and it seems like that there were drones in the air, because we have been hearing these sounds when the countermeasures to bring down drones have been done, and it appears like these similar measures were taken into consideration, and these rockets were shot at to bring them down. Look, there's a full heightened alertness, despite whatever the Pakistan has said that they're going to adhere to the ceasefire and not just do any activity like this. But there is full ceasefire understanding that is there. But remember, the India hasn't let its guard down. There have been multiple blasts that have been heard. Possibly drones have been brought down, but we haven't given to understand, because it sounded like. Now we have also gotten familiar with the sounds because of all these days, and it seems like there was a drone possibly in the air, and that has been brought down. There can be multiple.
Now there is update. NN Dubeji, former DIG BSF, is with us, and he is also saying at this point that where did you say? Gulmarg and Baramulla. Gulmarg and Baramulla also there have been drone sightings, and I think systems have worked to negate it.
The person you are.
We'll try and go across to Ishanwani in a bit. Tejinder Sodhi also with us. Tejinder, can you hear me? What time did the Jammu reports come in through? What time did that happen? Oh, we've lost Tejinder. The fact is, I think somewhere is this an attempt, Sushant Sareen, to try and internationalize Jammu and Kashmir till the 12th, to try and keep the LOC hot and try and say that this is the only issue that needs to be resolved. This is again the devious Paki movement. Now, how should Bharat look at it? Is this gloves off now? Should Bharat respond on the offensive, saying yes, this is the only issue that we want POK back and let's settle this once and for all?
So, Anand, I agree with what Mr. Rubin was saying, that these kind of things also can happen because within the Pakistan army, and something which I told you earlier, within the Pakistan army, there will be a lot of discontent as to what the hell has happened, right? How come we were so unprepared? And there would be, and I'm speculating a little bit, right?
Sorry, there is a blackout in Kathua, blackout in Baramulla, and drones have been sighted in Udhampur, and they have been brought down. Yes, please continue. Ji.
Yeah, so it could be a kind of a sign of certain divisions which have taken place within the Pakistan army at whatever level. Again, of course, I'm speculating. It could just as well be that within the army there is a decision that no, we will try our luck once more, which means that the response from the Indian side will be extremely fierce. So let's wait and see. Again, I would be very interested in knowing whether these drones which have come, are these armed drones? What kind of drones are these? Not that an unarmed drone can come in and not elicit a response from the Indian side. Absolutely not. And of course, it's worrying if there are blasts in Srinagar. Because Srinagar isn't the border, many of these other places are on the border. So some kind of, even if it's a shallow intrusion of a drone for surveillance purposes, one can still understand that they might be just trying to see where the Indian troops are, what they're trying to do, stuff like that. But if these are armed drones, then of course it means that these guys are not living up to the commitments that they themselves made. And if they're not doing that, then I think the response from the Indian side will be just
blackout in Srinagar, blackout in Pathankot. Now, this would be the other aspect that they would. This is the Kashmiri, the Paki devious plot try only keep the LOC hot, keep the IB hot in the Jammu and Kashmir region, so that once again they believe this is a devious way to try and internationalize Kashmir. So Bharat should play along. Bharat should ensure that the entire the other side is responded to and negated in such a way that the only thing that the DGMO says is that we cannot handle POK anymore. Please take it back. We don't want it. We sorry we squatted on your land. So that is the lesson that needs to be taught to them.
Anand, there is no question of any internationalization of Jammu and Kashmir. That's a dead issue. The only question of internationalization is the one which you yourself said.
Correct.
Of returning back POK to India and ending this entire.
So let's assume that posture, Sushant. What I'm saying is that let's assume, we want to internationalize POK, we want to internationalize POJK, and we will continue to pound, pummel, and then erase you till the time you hand over POJK back to us. Let's take it back there rather than trying to say any other way. The only talk we are having is if you are giving us POJK. That's all.
If that's the game the Pakis want to play, that's the game we will play. But the bottom line is that I think the kind of response they had got yesterday, it has shaken them up, and they are trying to retrieve some kind of dignity for themselves by carrying out these kind of antics. Again, this is nothing new when you are dealing with Pakistan. And the response from the Indian side should not be patient. It should not be, we should not take it in a very responsible kind of a way or a very restrained way. I think the response should be extremely robust from our side and paying them in more than the same coin. So I think that's a bit of a no-brainer. And that's what is going to happen. So let's wait and see how this thing turns out. It's not entirely surprising, even when ceasefires are declared, Anand. There are times when it takes maybe a few hours more, maybe a day or something more for them to be properly enforced. That also is par for the course. That also happens. So I would not jump to any immediate conclusions just yet. Until, of course, it kind of starts escalating the way it did last night.
Good. So if it is going to take at least 18 to 20 hours for things to be implemented from the Pakistani side, let it take another 22 hours to be implemented from the Bharat side, and let Bharat say, "अरे आपने drone छोड़ दिया, अब हमको भी तो कुछ करना है," because that is what it is. जितना आप छोड़ोगे उतना हम करेंगे. That's what we will do, and let this time perhaps far more punitive than what was effected on the 9th of May. Till the time the Pakistanis really come to heel. Anand Dubey ji, गलत कुछ कह रहा हूं मैं?
You are absolutely right, but about the Srinagar blast, I mean, we are not very clear what type of blast it was, because it will take few minutes.
It's all aerial. It's not on ground.
Yes,
if
it is aerial.
हवा में देखेंगे. It's all in the skies.
If it is sighted in air, then definitely what you are saying, that is a very correct approach. Because once I thought that if there is some ground blast, then definitely they will put the all blame to us, that it's your internal issue. There must be some people, misguided people, they might have done it. But once it is sighted in the air on the same pattern what we have seen last night, then definitely, I mean, it's a serious question.
It is in Pakistan's interest that there is no ground blast. It is in Pakistan's interest that कि जमीन पे कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हो. अगर उनके ज्यादा ने कुछ भी किया है, then it gives Bharat an open handle, because it's an act of terror is equal to act of war, and then Bharat assumes its own offensive posture again.
Entire act of terror should be assigned to Pakistan only, because it's only they are who are behind every these things. So the entire act, whatever we are seeing in these days, in the nights, like your afternoon, evening, whatever has happened, even after the ceasefire, it's completely assigned to Pakistan. Their handlers, the people who are sitting inside the Pakistan, they are doing it. So they have to take the responsibility for all these things.
Right. I'm going to check if Michael Rubin is still there. Michael Rubin, he's not there. Okay, Sushant Sareen, now going forward, what happens next? So do we wait for another hour to see if this is repeated?
I think
because if this is repeated, then Bharat should openly say talks are off. It's war. We are now on the offensive. आज तो तुम्हारा defense भी नहीं घुसेंगे और मारेंगे.
I think the night should be more.
Anand, what are the talks you talking about? There are no talks taking place right now. Okay, there is just that tweet which has come out from the American side. There is no talks agenda. There's nothing which is there as far as the talks are concerned. And even if those talks were to happen, they would probably happen, maybe on some kind of a back channel between the two NSAs or something like that, if at all. The second thing is, yes, I think we will probably just wait and see what exactly the Pakis are up to. Are they actually trying to disturb the ceasefire or renege on their commitments on the ceasefire? In which case, it's okay. It's a free for all then, and then we are entitled to do whatever we deem fit.
There is
And
blackout at Vaishno Devi Bhavan also.
That will be very robust. Secondly,
Ji.
From what we understood of what the Foreign Secretary's briefing was, that ceasefire extended along the line and length and breadth of the entire border, international border, as well as the LOC. Now, if the Pakistani interpretation of this is that it was only on the international border and not along the LOC, then I don't know whether we are going to remain, we will keep it to that level that, okay, fine, let's have it out. Let's have a bash at along the LOC and relative calm around the international border. Or will we say, okay, fine, now, everything is up for grabs. So that is a choice which our government will have to make. But if they are going to ratchet up the tensions, then they will get what is coming towards them. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind on that particular count.
Right. Peter Kuznick is joining us. Peter, thank you for speaking with us here. Now, even as we are talking about the stoppage of fire agreement, there is again brazen ceasefire violations along the international border and line of control by Pakistan artillery guns, and there are more drones that have been sent across multiple regions of Jammu and Kashmir and also Punjab. So Firozpur, Punjab is also in blackout in a blackout state right now. They say it is because precautionary, but multiple drone sightings, and all these have now again been neutralized. But that means that the Pak DGMO and Pakistani military doesn't seem to be serious about any talk of stoppage.
Well, we don't know for sure. In the United States, we're not getting that timely information that you were just saying. Here, the reports are much more positive and optimistic.
This is in the last 15 minutes, Peter. It's in the last 15 minutes between 8:45 p.m. IST, Indian Standard Time, till 9:07. So it's 9:07 as we speak here, 9:07 p.m. So from about 8:35, 8:40 p.m. is when the news started coming in. Now, what you are playing out is live pictures just about from 4 minutes ago. It's deferred live from 4 minutes ago. It's been sent by our own reporter in Srinagar. From his residence, he's seen these sounds, these blasts in the sky and drones being neutralized by the air defense systems. Peter.
Well, that's very disappointing. Here we're celebrating that a ceasefire was in place. But as we've seen with other ceasefires, with Russia and Ukraine, with Israel and Gaza, these ceasefires are very, very shaky because they're being partly internally imposed, but also partly externally imposed. And both sides, in many of these, would rather fight it out on the battlefield because they think they can win and gain an advantage. The danger is when you've got nuclear-armed powers and a situation that's very, very unstable. And I know I go on these shows with my Indian and my Pakistani friends, and the hatred is so visceral, the anger is so palpable that I know it's very, very difficult to come to any agreements on this. But the world is begging India and Pakistan to step back and respect the ceasefire and let cooler heads prevail.
So the
it's not so
point
easy.
is, one can be nice. One of our early thinkers and strategists more than 1,500 years ago said that no matter how kind you are to a snake, its only aim is to poison you, to bite and inject its poison into you. The other thing is, Bharat is a signatory to no first use. Pakistan is not when it comes to nuclear capabilities. The other thing is that Bharat has not even gone up to 5% of its military capability in this case. But there is more confirmation coming in. There is a blackout in Jaisalmer and Badmer. NN Dubeji is able to confirm that there have been drone sightings in Jaisalmer and Badmer. But News 18 Rajasthan and News 18 Hindi also confirming the same. Yes, NN Dubeji.
Yes, sir. DM Badmer has ordered for complete blackout in view of the large number of drones sighted in the sky of Badmer. So this is again a very concerning news because it is further south. It is a first news in Rajasthan. So I think the area has been again expanded. It's not only LOC or what JNK were discussing. It's a further more.
Yeah, Firozpur, Punjab.
Yeah.
Firozpur, Punjab. There has come, and
yes.
now it has gone up to further down the western borders into Rajasthan, where Bardmer and Jaisalmer again drones have been sighted. There is blackout, and those drones again the ADSs have now neutralized. So it's again hot activity along the western border. So they're not keeping it only limited to Jammu and Kashmir. Sushant.
Yeah, so if it's not limited to only Jammu and Kashmir, but I think first, before I come to your question, I really find it deeply objectionable when people from the West put India and Pakistan on the same pedestal and treat a victim of terrorism, that is India, and the perpetrator of terrorism, that is Pakistan, equally. That India and Pakistan talk about the two countries in the same breath. I find it deeply objectionable. I'll be very honest about it. Secondly, if the reports which you are giving right now that this is happening in Rajasthan, it's happening in Punjab, are those blackouts precautionary? Are there actually drone sighting? Because sometimes what happens, Anand, in these kind of situations is that there is also a lot of, there is a kind of abundant caution which is also being exercised, and very often there is some kind of misinformation which is also doing the round. But if indeed there are sightings of drones and these
are confirmed pictures from our reporters. So we'll try and get Bhavani from Rajasthan also. So this is clear violation by Pakistan of any ceasefire.
If it's like a clear violation, then all bets are off.
Yeah, all bets are off. The other part is that there could be a possibility that they would turn around and say drones are dispensable. Ye humni bhej rahe, jihadi bhej rahe, they are sending it, so don't blame us. And the other thing is that we'll keep the LOC or say hot for about 2-3 hours every night till the 12th. But it's up to India's interpretation. Bharat can interpret. Omar Abdullah saying there is no ceasefire. This is no ceasefire. Air defense systems have been activated in the middle of Srinagar. This is Omar Abdullah himself coming out and confirming this. Chief Minister is seeing what is happening above the skies and he is putting this out.
Can't give such a statement like this.
No, he's seeing it, sir.
He's seeing it.
He's seeing it in the air. Just like Ishan Wani is there in Srinagar, you're seeing it in the air that something is flying and the ADSs are neutralizing it. This is happening in Srinagar. We try and get Bhavani on the phone if we can, but and reports Bardmer and Rajouri, Bardmer and also in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan there have been drones sighted. There is also again in Rajouri ceasefire violation. Akash joining us. Yes, Akash.
In Jammu, it is all normal. Anand, I have been getting messages from the Kent area where I have several officers living, and they are saying that there is a blackout in the area as far as drone activity is concerned. So here in Jammu, I can confirm that I cannot see any sort of drone, any sort of siren or any sort of blackout for that matter. But yes, ceasefire violation has been happening in the areas like Poonch, in Rajouri, in Mendhar, and also in some other areas across the LC. As far as ceasefire violation is concerned, so we have been seeing historically as well, even after 2021, it doesn't ceasefire violation or ceasefire agreement doesn't mean that it won't happen at all, because ultimately it is line of control. It is not the international border. There you have the disputed boundary, and Pakistan will want to keep that particular thing in discussion and will always claim that this is their boundary or this is disputed, and that's the reason why we have seen traditionally as well that they are involved in the ceasefire violation. However, after the press conference by the Foreign Secretary, why it is happening immediately and why these drone activities are happening, this is one question. We are waiting for some sort of response from the government as well, from the armed forces as well, because there are air activities reported from Srinagar, as Ishan is reporting, and in fact in Udhampur we have unconfirmed reports that drone activities are there.
See,
in Jammu at least I can say that there is no siren. There is no siren or no drone at least.
Right. Jammu region it has happened. It has happened in the Jammu region. NN Dubeji is sitting right next to us here in the studio, and he has confirmed that. We'll try and go across to Anshul joining us live from Pathankot, where again there have been ADSs at work. Drones have been sighted. There is a possibility that drones will be sighted and this drone activity will continue from the enemy till the 12th when the DGMOs meet. But if that is the case, then it gives Bharat a free handle to decide what kind of activity we want to continue till the 12th. Bharat. So not just defend, but we can get on the offensive and perhaps tell them how to do it nicely, the offense perhaps. Maybe our forces are on it at this point, but that only the Pakistanis will have to confirm right now. But yes, Anshul, you're amid a blackout. That's why I can't see you.
Well, yes, yet again, over the last 5 minutes, there has been another blackout that has happened out here in Pathankot. We heard a siren from the Pathankot airbase, but there have been no explosions that have been heard at this point in time. The sirens that were burst from the Pathankot airbase was actually for just a few seconds, and since then there has been absolutely no activity that can be seen over here, but definitely a blackout as a precautionary measure has been announced over here in Pathankot, because remember, it is very, very close to Jammu, and hence as a precautionary measure over here, yet again a blackout has been announced, yet again exposing that how no one can actually go ahead and trust this rogue nation of Pakistan, even at a time when after so much talks there has been a ceasefire, or not exactly a ceasefire, but an understanding has been reached between the two countries, that till the 12th of May there will be no arms and ammunition exchange between these two countries. But today as well, yet again there
so
have
after
been reports
blackout
of
now,
various
air raid sirens have gone off in Baramulla. Air raid sirens have now gone off in Baramulla. Viewers, this is what the Pakistanis are doing across our skies. Please be rest assured that they are also facing a lot of music on their side, and perhaps it will be far more louder and it's going to hurt them harder. They have just not been public with it, but please trust our forces to respond in equal and adequate measure. Yes, Anand Dubeji, what's the update that you have? Ji.
My update is that, everybody was thinking that probably there is a declaration, there is an agreement, and there will be an official commitment from both the sides that it's a completely ceasefire. Then why this Pakistan started this, new dimension of already agreed upon ceasefire agreement. So they have started right from Baramulla down to Srinagar city, Pattan, that is one of the tehsil of Baramulla,
Yeah.
Srinagar city, which is very, very disturbing because Srinagar city is quite in deep. And the nature of these drones are like exactly same what happened in the last night. They have gone right in the quite good height in the sky, and from the very maximum height it has been dropped.
Right.
So it becomes very difficult to destroy. That is one of the reason, I think, and that problem they might be challenging. They might be facing the forces.
One also has to see what kind of drones these are. Are these the ones that they tried to send first up, which are basic drones with no munition and not too much of payload, or are these ones which have got a certain amount of payload and what they attempted to send on the nights of 9th and 10th? So those are questions, because first set of drones were probing drones, the other ones were heavier and they had a lot of payload on them.
These drones are very similar to the drones of the last night, because if you go previous night, then those drones were very low flying drones. It was very easily detected and it was being destroyed in air, and one could see from the open eyes it's being destroyed. But the last night's drones had taken a quite good height in the sky.
Right.
That is a ground report. So these drones are little different. What kind of drones they are using since last 24 hours, I think must be some new consignment landed on the tarmac of Pakistan, what I am assuming.
Right.
That must be a different consignment.
Okay.
And we couldn't understand who has sent it.
Okay.
Now today's drones are almost similar to what happened in the last night. That's why they came quite down, and thereafter it has been detected.
Right.
Low flying drones doesn't have a capacity to reach to Srinagar city.
Right.
It has to go to quite high.
It has to take up a certain amount of height for it to be able to reach up to Srinagar city. How it's reached there, that's another point. That will happen post facto. Tejinder Sodhi is with us. Yes, Tejinder, there is blackout in Baramulla, sirens have gone off in Baramulla, and multiple portions of Jammu and Kashmir along the IB and the LOC have seen drone activity, including Srinagar.
Yes, Anand, there has been a drone activity that has been witnessed in various regions of Jammu and Kashmir, especially in Jammu, Samba, wherein our guns, the air defense mechanism has been activated to take those drones down. Even the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, who lives in the heart of Srinagar city, has also posted a video of drone and saying that there is no ceasefire which Pakistan had agreed upon. Yes, you rightly said that though I am in Baramulla right now, there is a complete blackout. I just heard a few bangs. I am not sure what type of blasts they were, but yes, there are air raid sirens that are going on. In Jammu, there is panic amongst people. I'm told that there is a Sainik colony area in Jammu where people are rushing for safety. Because Jammu, as Akash was reporting from one place of Jammu, he's saying that there is no drone activity, but Jammu is a very big district where there are several places where drones have been sighted by the people, and our air defense mechanism has been activated to take those drones down.
Right.
Pakistan has also resorted to unprovoked ceasefire violation in Akhnur, which is also in Jammu, in Mendar, which is in Poonch, in Rajouri, and also in Kashmir sector. Pakistan has resorted to unprovoked ceasefire violation in the Gurez sector of Bandipora. I just had a word with one of the top sources in the defense establishment, and they have confirmed that the Indian Army is giving a befitting response to the Pakistani aggression. There has been also reports of some ceasefire, some cross-border firing in the Araspura sector where the BSF is retaliating. So it seems that Pakistan, as Pakistan is known for backstabbing India, Pakistan, while they begged for a ceasefire, they wanted their DGMO called India and begged. They came on knees and requested India to stop firing. But within few hours, Pakistan has backstabbed. Anand, my sources within the establishment are saying that this ceasefire violation and the drone activity clearly show that the Pakistan army is a rogue army. They are not under control of the politicians of Pakistan. They had requested the DGMO to call Indian counterpart and beg for the India to stop the firing. Yes.
Right. Thank you for your input. Ishan Wani joining us live from Srinagar. Yes, Anand Dubaji. Any update? Okay, we've got Rajasthan, Barmer and Jaisalmer. There is Firozpur, Punjab. There is also Amritsar is on standby. I think we'll try and get an update there. Firozpur, there is a blackout. There are pictures coming in from Firozpur where there is a blackout. Jammu regions, air raid, sirens in Baramulla. Srinagar, multiple attempts of drones being sent over Srinagar. Yes, about 5-6 drones have been negated over BB cantonment itself. Yes, Ishan.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There are multiple drones right now in the sky and they are being countered successfully by the Indian Army. The defenses are very hard to penetrate, and that's why you're seeing and hearing people who are watching us in Srinagar across India that whatever you are listening and hearing right now is because of the drone activity in the sky, and the attempt is being made to ensure that all these drones are brought down. We specifically don't want to talk about where the drones are being attempted to land or where they are being shot at. It's an operational matter at the moment, but we can confirm to you that there are multiple drones in the sky which are even visible from the naked eye at some places, and these drones are trying to hover around Srinagar, causing to cause the maximum damage to the military infrastructure, to the vital military infrastructure located in Srinagar and other parts. Now, what we have been also told that there are multiple attempts being made in other parts of Kashmir as well, apart from Srinagar, where again we are told that these drones are successfully trying to ensure that they're trying to target the security establishment, but the robust system over Srinagar and from the below, what we have been given to understand is trying to diffuse them. This is the night when people in Kashmir and Srinagar thought that they are going to have a peaceful night after a very long time with no such incursions or the drone attacks. But now, even before they would have started sleeping peacefully, it seems like but they have decided that they're going to send more drones towards Kashmir, towards Srinagar, towards other parts of Jammu as well, and try to ensure that they damage any infrastructure. But for now, we're told there are no casualties, no injuries, and they are trying to counter them easily.
So Barmer, okay, thanks for that update, Ishan. Stay safe, and I think with our air defense systems, we can be rest assured we'll be safe. Our armed forces working overtime to keep us safe. In this case, now it's spread beyond Jammu and Kashmir into Punjab and also into Rajasthan, Barmer, Bikaner, and Jodhpur. There have been blackouts there, and in Barmer and in Jaisalmer, there has been drones which have been neutralized. But now there is update that even in Jodhpur and Bikaner also, there are blackouts at this point. The former Air Chief R.K. Bhaduria ji is with us. Sir, how would you see this? Is this not a brazen violation of the ceasefire that the Pak DGMO himself asked for?
Absolutely, it's absolutely brazen, and not only incursion by these drones, but also clearly attack. They've used armed versions of drones and attacked some of these places. The kind of explosions that we talked about. So it's a clear violation. I'm sure with such kind of violation there would be repercussions.
No, but repercussions should not be in equal measure. In this case, because this is again violation, shouldn't Bharat choose, today is a time when their air defense systems are down, their air offense capability is down. This is the time to go ahead and hit. If they are sending drones, shouldn't Bharat respond in perhaps a little more amplified measure?
It would always be amplified. It would always be amplified.
Thank you. That's reassuring. I'm not going to push you there beyond that. But how does this happen when the Pak DGMO says that they want to talk on the 12th? There is this push that is happening, or what we are witnessing. What is Bharat now going to say? Because Shehbaz Sharif, I don't know if you've seen it, he's thanked the US. Donald Trump has claimed credit. Bharat has said that we will talk only to Pakistan. There is no third person here. So how does this work? Clearly their game on, and their game is gambit is purely to try and internationalize J&K. I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah, and it is for the US leadership to see how brazenly they have violated and gone back to whatever assurances they gave the US side in terms of ceasefire, and obviously there would have been a lot of talk, especially when US Secretary of State had to speak to Asif Munir himself before they were brought onto the right track. So they need to see how they have gone back. It is for them to realize, we know what Pakistan does, what he is capable of, how much he respects the treaties or the ceasefires or agreements that are reached. So we would have been careful, we would have been watchful, and surely these drone incursions would be tackled, so there's nothing to worry. But in the larger context, I think the US leadership, the world leaders need to see the Pakistani game plan and the involvement of Pakistani military establishment, ISI, deeply into their terror networks and their support, and going so far out in support of supporting their terror organization. I think that is the lesson that the world needs to take and deal with Pakistan.
No, but what is the reason why that this is not something which they have not known? If Osama bin Laden was found in Abbottabad, not so far away from a very key military installation, the world knows it already.
Yeah, they know it, but they have selective memory. They bring in different definitions of terrorism when it suits them. They have all kind of things they do. But when we point out these actions, they have not come out very strongly against Pakistan, in spite of Pakistan being the epicenter of terrorism. So it is time now to call out, and we need to take our action. We would take. Now the world just needs to watch. Don't tell us what to do. We will do what we need to do.
So this is another ceasefire deal that's gone begging Donald Trump and perhaps J.D. Vance, the US. Did they jump the gun in trying to take credit? Shehbaz Sharif crediting and thanking, and as Prime Minister confirming, not knowing what his army is doing immediately. In fact, minutes after Shehbaz Sharif tweeted saying thank you and we are going to talk, and we are looking at peace, the drone activity and the incursions and the ceasefire violations across the line of control and international border have started. General D.P. Pandey is with us. General Saab, what should Bharat do now? Is this now equal to act of war?
Okay, so firstly, let me just start by saying that Pakistan has shit-faced number of people. The Pak army rather. Pak army shit-faced its own Prime Minister, who just tweeted, and within tweet it can't be a part of a larger deception, because when you come out as a government, leading a government and make a statement, you believe that everybody is backing you up, like in any other country happens. So this is one thing happens. The second, what has happened is that US actually needs to see that how they have been shit-faced, while common sense and intelligence was the remark which the president of US made out for this thing. So they should know that the deep state, which has got great fingers and ties and affiliations inside, and they have been feeling that ISI is their tool. How they come back and actually smear in the face. But very interestingly, actually, for the Westerns, we are all right. We've got no value for them. We can be only used when they need us. Omar Abdullah tweeted very shortly what the hell is happening, what has happened to ceasefire. So I had to just only tweet back to him, and that is there is a cruel reminder for all of us that starting from standstill agreement, which was breached in 1947-48, right? 1947, the Jammu and Kashmir, that point of time.
Yeah.
The Pakistanis have breached all treaties, not only with us, with everybody across the world, including using of F-16 and not telling the Americans Osama is living with them and they are looking after him and all, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into the deal of it. But bottom line, coming the tactical level, what is happening today is possibly as a field force commander, everybody would have known, because we discussed the difference between stoppage of fire and ceasefire, right? The issue was to be debated, discussed, and hashed out on 12th. Any sensible army or armed forces will try and use this time for one-upmanship possibly. But given the circumstances in which a couple of top leadership had talked of ceasefire in their rank and file, I think this should not have happened. It is very important also for us when we are talking, we should not talk of a rogue element. The moment we talk of rogue element in armed forces, we're unhappy with the government and the DG most call, and therefore they have taken this call. The rogue elements can be a selective element who will use instrument of terrorism to carry out a strike after a talk which has happened. But when you look at the spread all around from Kashmir to Jammu to Punjab and on the way to Rajasthan, crossing of line of control and international border is a deliberate violation by Pakistan Army as an army, right? It is not rogue elements who are just popping up, something like celebrity fire or okay, we will not like children going to the toilet and banging up some crackers. So it is quite a deliberate. There is a dissonance between the political leadership, somewhere into a same part of the military, but in the rest of the Pak army, which has taken again, which were possibly looking to flex their muscle and showcase that we are up to the steam, have possibly taken a hit there. That Punjabi ego, which we keep of time, has actually taken a major hit, and this is coming as a response of all these activities just taking place. Now, the very bottom line question is it an act of war? Right? This is the time, and again we have to go back to the thing, and I don't want to debate right now on the open that what will be that line which will reach when truly we need to declare the festival of war. But this is still controllable. This is manageable, and I'm sure without coming out, our systems which have been are being headed by people will be striking back some point of time.
Oh, it's already started.
In terms of the drones,
It's already started.
So
It's already started. Proportionate response has already been given, and it will be given further. That's the update. Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us those details that Bharat's proportionate response has already started. But and it's the what a lot of people are hearing, locals are hearing in the skies. Once again, you must be used to it over the last 3-4 days. That's what happens. The first time it's all shocking, but now everybody knows what's happening. It's the ADSs, the air defense systems, the guns that are now bringing down and neutralizing these drones. So that's the effectivity that's visible. That's the explosions that one is hearing. But General Pandey believes this is still below the threshold level or the line